There is a direct relationship between performance, your greatest performance, and stress. Dan Hunt here, performance coach of hundreds of athletes at the high school, the collegiate level, some even reaching the upper echelons of college athletics. When I go in and speak with athletes, I'll ask them, hey, how many of you guys have heard stress is bad? Like, raise your hand. And overwhelmingly, time and time again, like everybody in the audience raises their hand. And here's the thing about stress is that first, stress is not bad. You actually need a level of stress to perform and to perform at your best. There's a direct correlation that as stress rises within your body, your performance rises to a certain degree. The thing is though, is that once that stress goes a little bit over, your performance begins to decrease. And that's where I come in a lot of times and work with athletes of how do you increase that capacity, which we've talked about in other videos. The other thing with stress and performance is that when that stress gets to that point, a lot of times it's about what you perceive about that stress and whether or not you actually believe you have actions that you can take to either limit or minimize or even get out of that stress altogether. And so I often talk with athletes about how do you shift perspectives and be able to view that stress in a different way. Here's one way that I talk all the time with athletes about is that stress at the end of the day is when you don't think that you can move or do or have an action. Where pressure, there is always a resolution to that. There is always a way that you can take another action and that you're somebody that can perform highly under a lot of pressure. That's a simple way to kind of reframe, we would say, stress, right? And put the control back into your hands. Here's the really big thing that I wanted to hit with this video is that so often we talk about all these times of stress and how to hey, you hear all these things on the internet and different coaches of what to focus on and how to do this and how to get out of it. I want to say it's not necessarily getting out of the stress, it's how you leverage the stress. But even in that, it's not so much of where you put your focus when you're extremely stressed or when you find yourself overly stressed or distressed or you find a place of chaos or you can't figure out oh, this is overwhelming, how do I get out of this, right? I know we've been there. I know you as an athlete, you've been there before. Here's the thing that I really want to hit on this video is that it's not about where your focus goes in the immediate. It's about the fact that you need to keep moving. You need to do something. You need to breathe. You need to take action. You need to take another step. You need to keep doing something to continue to shift your state in order to shift your focus. And I'm going to back up for a second and explain that a little bit more. Because so often people say, hey, don't focus on that thing. Don't look at that or focus on this thing or think positively or hey, it is what it is. You have all these little tricks, okay? And I hear them all the time. But this is the critical thing that's missing is when you find yourself in that overwhelming, stressful state where things are chaotic, you can't really see clearly, your thoughts aren't clear. Here's the one thing that you absolutely have to do. You have to keep moving. You have to keep your body moving because when you move, when you're able to breathe, when you're able to keep shifting your what we call state, your physical state, your physiological state, that is the only way you can shift your focus. Because the thing is that when you are in a physiological state, when your body chemistry is made up in a certain way and you have this cocktail going on and you're at this place where you can't think clearly, the only way to think clearly is to shift your state to then allow your brain to shift focus. Without that state shifting, your brain, your mind, your attention will not shift focus. It's almost like there's this block and water's trying to flow through, right? But until you actually move your body, you change the state you're in, you can't remove the floodgates to get the water to direct and move in a different direction. And so that's the big thing I want you to really take a hold. Yes, there's some critical things we shared about stress, but the biggest thing is that when you find yourself in those moments where you're overwhelmed, where you can't think straight, where you don't know what the next move is, where when you look out into the court, your eyes are blurry and you're going, I don't know about this. You need to be able to breathe. You You need to be able to bounce up and down. You need to be able to keep moving and remind yourself what's the next best move, and give your focus and attention fully to that. Subscribe to this, guys. We're going to keep pumping out this content on little topics and things to help you understand how can you leverage your physiology and your psychology to get the maximum performance. We help individuals and teams win by being at their best when it matters the most, and that's the entire point of this. So like, subscribe, share, and we look forward to shooting the next video for you.